Hey good folks, welcome to Devs and Dice. My name is Leif, and this week I have painted up the fourth and final elemental from Wizkids Nolzur's marvelous miniatures. But before we look at what I've painted, I want to ask you to please consider liking, sharing, or subscribing. Doing that will of course help the channel, but it will also make sure that we can spread the word to as many people as possible. Alright, mini painters, with that out of the way, it is time for us to venture forth and paint that earth elemental. A couple of years ago I started getting into D&D. As my passion for D&D grew, so did my collection of minis, and like many others out there, I now have boxes of shame. Legions of unpainted minis. Now this is my underdog story. This is me painting every single one of my miniatures. Alright good folks, so this is the Earth Elemental from Nolzur's marvelous miniatures. So I have to be honest and say that I was quite happy to see an Earth or an Elemental that wasn't transparent or had that bad case of mold lines. But nonetheless, after doing some cleanup of the miniature, I actually decided to do something I've never done before. So as you can see, it's not that bad, but I wanted to try something out. And that was actually, it was mostly because the situation sort of had presented itself. This is a tub of pure alcohol. What is it, 90% alcohol or something like that? So I essentially let it soak there for, what was it, like 2 days or such. Now, with that and some scrubbing, I managed to get most of the primer off, and I have to say, yeah, I can see a heck of a lot more details. So I decided to just sort of glue it to the base and start from there. Now, as usual with these elementals, I didn't want to sort of show that black thin base that much, so I decided to just do a quick basing job with my grout and gravel texture and some super glue. And this is what we have. I'm kind of liking, you know, simple result. And this is where after I primed it. So I did some sort of a zenithal prime. I'm not sure exactly what I was thinking here. I did it with some sort of dark gray and then some wraith bone from top. At least it did give me some sort of view on the actual mini. So I started out with uniform gray and with some flow aid. These army paints, I tend to think that they work a little bit better with some flow aid in them instead of water. I have to admit, for the longest time, even though I looked at the actual box art, I had my heart set on making this more sort of rocky and more sort of stone creature. Here you can see that I'm toying around with different sort of colors of gray. Now the first sort of uniform gray, I guess, is somewhere in the middle. This one, the hardened carpaccia, is more sort of, I guess, towards the brown-green grayish. And I'm sort of just putting it in here and there just to give some character. Like we've spoken of so many times before, stones are rarely gray. And here I'm coming in with some castle gray, which is actually more sort of towards the beige or brown. And I'm sort of just dotting it in here and there. He sort of looks like he's gone to military school for a bad camouflage or something. But I let the mini dry completely, and this is where I'm sort of starting to also gauge what I want to do with the mini, because it wasn't that simple to decide. But I came in with some enough highlight just to sort of pencil in the eyes, and you can see I'm not being particularly careful. The reason for that is because I knew I was going to come back and sort of tighten that up with some brown or gray color again. I'm thinning out this enough highlight. I'm having fun here, honestly. I'm just sort of doing highlights here and there, just trying to sort of something in between where the natural highlights should be versus where I think that perhaps the stone would sort of be. Now I think It's at this moment I'm starting to sort of rethink my choices in life. No, but my choices in this mini. So I'm coming in with some military shader, which is sort of an olive shader. And as you can see, the footage here looks terrible. I think I accidentally turned off the auto focus feature for some reason. I don't know why. Well, actually I do know exactly why. I probably did this in between RPG sessions. But I didn't think that these washes did enough damage, so I came in with some brown and some sepia ink, because at this point I was sort of, I was kind of happy with the highlights and whatnot. It looked playful, and I added some details, but it didn't look brown enough. So essentially what I did was, like I've done plenty of times before, just tint it using actual sort of inks. Now I recently bought this supposedly cool thing from Nock, or Noch, I don't know how to say that, it's German. So this is a static grass applicator, and apparently it works as simple as you put in some static grass, and yeah, first, like I remembered, you need to put some PVA glue on the base. And this was a first for me. I've literally never done this before. I did it for a mini that I was supposed to sort of put out on a video. So all of this is scary, but you who have been with me for a while know that fear is not a strong motivator for me. So apparently you just shake the shit out of that, and then you sort of just push it out, and it becomes sort of statically charged, and yeah, I guess, yeah, gets sort of, I don't know how to say it, risen, elevated or something like that. And as you can see, I guess my tip, if you were to use one of these, have a big sheet of paper underneath or something. I think I'm still vacuuming my workplace, and I find sort of these small tufts of static grass. But all in all, it worked. So this is what it looks like in blurry footage. Like I said, it will get better later. I think it will get better once we get to the glamour shot, so have some patience. Now I wanted to add some tufts. I had some sort of small tufts from Army Painter, and I wanted to add them on the mini. And I decided to only add one, but there was like a hole on his right leg that just made me sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna put a tuft there just to show that this is actually more an earth elemental and not a stone elemental. Now, in order to just sort of make the eyes pop a little bit more, I just dotted in the smallest dot of matte white just to make the eyes a little bit more intense. Now, to expedite the drying process, I brought forth the hairdryer. And once that was dry, I figured I would do glowing eyes the way I know how to do it. So I just took some yellow ink and I added it on top of the eyes. And let's have a look at the glamour shots, and I promise these will be in focus. Alright, good folks, what did you think? Have you painted this mini? How did you paint it? Should it be grey, brown, brown? If you like the way I did it, please hit that like button. And you know what? While you're at it, if you really like what I'm doing with this channel, consider subscribing or sharing this to make sure that I win the fight against that nasty YouTube algorithm. Oh yeah, and don't forget that bell icon. So that's it for me. I am currently nursing a cold, so that's why I'm sounding a little bit off. But I hope to see you next week. And until then, toodaloo.